The forbidden knowledge. What ancient texts reveal about death's greatest mystery. This information will shock you and move you from your seat. What if I told you that every night when you close your eyes, you're rehearsing for the most important journey of your existence? What if the ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Hindu mystics weren't creating mythology, but documenting actual experiences of consciousness beyond the physical realm? Tonight, we're diving into knowledge so profound, so carefully guarded by mystery schools for millennia, that most people live their entire lives without ever glimpsing these truths. We're talking about the mechanics of death itself, not the biological process, but the intricate spiritual journey that begins the moment your heart stops beating. Did you know that the word hello might actually be a linguistic remnant meaning hell is low? Or that every emoji you use has been carefully designed by organizations that understand the power of symbols on human consciousness? These aren't random coincidences. They're breadcrumbs leading to a much larger truth about the nature of reality itself. Here's something that will make you question everything. According to ancient Egyptian texts, specifically the Papyrus of Ani and the pyramid texts dating back over 4,000 years, human beings aren't just one entity. You are actually three distinct components operating as one: your physical body, your etheric or spirit body, and your soul. But here's where it gets fascinating. Only one of these can travel while you're alive. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, or Bardo Thodol, describes in precise detail what happens during the 49-day journey after death. The ancient Greeks spoke of Anubis weighing hearts against feathers. Hindu scriptures detail the Yamadutas, messengers of death who guide souls through transition. But what if these weren't metaphors? What if they were instruction manuals? Consider this. Every major ancient civilization, from Egypt to Tibet, from Greece to India, independently developed remarkably similar descriptions of the afterlife journey. They all speak of judgment, of weighing deeds, of guides who appear at the moment of death. Either this is the most extraordinary coincidence in human history, or these cultures were documenting actual experiences of consciousness beyond physical death. But here's what's truly unsettling. According to these same texts, you already chose your death date before you were born. You sat in council with beings of higher consciousness and agreed to the exact moment you would leave this physical realm. The only reason you don't remember is because the veil of forgetfulness descends when you enter physical form. Tonight, we're going to explore the hidden mechanics of death, the silver cord that connects your soul to your body, the astral nurses who appear at your bedside, the great queue of souls waiting for judgment, and the cosmic scales that weigh your heart against a feather. We'll uncover why some people experience sleep paralysis, what really happens during out-of-body experiences, and why the ancients considered dreamless sleep a spiritual emergency. Are you ready to discover what happens when the final breath leaves your body? Are you prepared to learn about the journey that awaits every single one of us? The three bodies. Understanding your true nature. To understand death, we must first understand what you truly are. The ancient mystery schools taught that human beings exist as three distinct yet interconnected bodies, each serving a specific function in the grand design of consciousness. Your physical body, what the Egyptians called the Khat, is merely the vehicle, the biological machine that allows consciousness to operate in the material realm. But this is just the densest layer of your existence. The Hermetic principle, as above, so below, reveals that what exists in the physical realm is merely a reflection of higher spiritual realities. The second body is your etheric or spirit body, the Ka in Egyptian terminology. This is your breath body, the vital force that animates your physical form. Unlike your soul, your spirit body remains tethered to your physical form throughout your entire life. It only departs at the moment of final breath, what we call death. This is why ancient texts emphasize the importance of the final breath, for it marks the moment when the spirit body begins its own journey. But it's the third body, your soul or Ba, that holds the most fascinating secrets. Your soul possesses the remarkable ability to travel beyond the physical realm while you remain alive. Connected to your physical body by what esoteric traditions call the silver cord, your soul can journey to higher dimensions, gather information, and return with knowledge from realms beyond ordinary perception. This silver cord mentioned in Ecclesiastes 12:6 and described in detail in theosophical literature is not metaphorical. It's an actual energetic connection that appears as a silvery thread extending from your solar plexus to your traveling soul. The ancient Greeks called this the pneuma, while Hindu texts refer to it as the sutratma, or thread soul. The nightly journey. What really happens when you sleep? Every night when you fall asleep, your soul embarks on a journey that most people never consciously remember. This isn't random dreaming, it's systematic exploration of higher dimensional realms. The speed at which your soul travels in these astral dimensions depends entirely on your spiritual energy and development. The Tibetan tradition speaks of different levels of consciousness during sleep. The first level involves your soul gathering information from the immediate astral plane surrounding Earth. The second level allows access to what they call the Bardo of Dharmata, realms where the fundamental nature of reality becomes apparent. The highest level permits communion with advanced spiritual beings and access to the Akashic records, the cosmic library containing all knowledge. But here's where it becomes dangerous. Your soul can only travel to a certain boundary in these higher realms. There are cosmic laws that prevent unprepared consciousness from accessing certain levels of reality. When your soul reaches this boundary, the information it has gathered must be transmitted back through the silver cord to your physical body. This process isn't instantaneous. When your soul returns from its nightly journeys, it must slowly integrate the higher electromagnetic frequencies it has accumulated. If it attempts to re-enter your physical body too quickly, you experience what modern medicine calls sleep paralysis, but which ancient texts describe as the soul's violent re-entry into physical form. The integration process typically takes 60 to 90 seconds. During this time, your consciousness exists in a liminal state between dimensions. This is why sleep paralysis often involves seeing shadowy figures or feeling a presence in the room. You're perceiving beings from the astral realm while your physical senses are coming back online. The danger of dreamless sleep. Ancient wisdom traditions consider dreamless sleep a spiritual emergency. The Egyptian Book of Coming Forth by Day states that a person who doesn't dream is cut off from divine communication. Hindu scriptures warn that dreamless sleep indicates a soul that has become trapped in lower astral realms. But even more concerning is the inability to remember dreams. Your dreams aren't random neural firing. They're reports from your soul's nightly journeys. When you can't remember your dreams, it means the information your soul gathered isn't successfully transmitting through the silver cord to your conscious mind. The Sufi tradition teaches specific practices to strengthen this connection. They understood that dream recall is actually a measure of spiritual development. The more clearly you remember your dreams, the stronger your connection to higher realms becomes. If you're finding this information as fascinating as I am, and you're starting to see your sleep and dreams in a completely new light, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're just getting started on this journey into forbidden knowledge, and there's so much more to uncover. The moment of death, what ancient texts reveal. When your physical body takes its final breath, a process begins that has been documented with remarkable consistency across cultures and millennia. The moment your heart stops, your soul, which may have been traveling in the astral realm, suddenly finds itself unable to return to the physical body through the silver cord. According to the Tibetan Bardo Thodol, at this precise moment, beings appear who are not physical entities but astral guides. These beings, which the text calls peaceful and wrathful deities, serve a specific function. They inform your soul that physical death has occurred and that return to the body is no longer possible. The Egyptian pyramid text describes similar beings, the Neteru, or divine messengers, who appear at the moment of transition. These aren't hallucinations or near-death fantasies. According to these ancient sources, they are actual entities whose role is to guide newly deceased souls through the initial shock of death. But here's what makes this process particularly traumatic. Your soul doesn't immediately accept that death has occurred. The Tibetan texts describe how the soul attempts repeatedly to re-enter the physical body, not understanding why the silver cord no longer functions. This creates what they call the first bardo, a state of confusion and denial that can last for what we perceive as days. The ancient Greeks described this same phenomenon in their accounts of the river Lethe, the river of forgetfulness. But this wasn't just mythology, it was a description of the psychological process that occurs when consciousness realizes it can no longer inhabit physical form. The pre-birth contract, your chosen death date. Perhaps the most startling revelation from ancient mystery school teachings is that you chose your death date before you were born. The Hermetic tradition speaks of the Council of Elders, advanced spiritual beings with whom you consulted before incarnating in physical form. During this pre-birth consultation, you didn't just choose your parents, your life circumstances, and your major challenges. You also selected the precise moment when you would leave physical form. This wasn't arbitrary. It was based on the specific lessons your soul needed to learn and the karma you needed to resolve. The Hindu concept of prarabdha karma describes this same principle. Your death date is determined by the karmic debts you've accumulated across multiple lifetimes and the spiritual progress you need to make in your current incarnation. But why don't you remember making this choice? The ancient texts explain that the veil of forgetfulness descends when consciousness enters physical form. This amnesia is necessary because knowing your death date would interfere with the authentic living of your life and the genuine working through of your karmic lessons. The Gnostic texts, particularly the Pistis Sophia, describe this forgetting as a necessary part of the soul's journey. Without the veil, you would live your entire life in anticipation of death rather than fully engaging with the experiences you came here to have. The realm of the dead, the great Q. When your soul finally accepts that physical death has occurred, you are guided to what ancient texts consistently describe as the realm of the dead. This isn't the final destination. It's a processing center, a cosmic customs office where souls are prepared for judgment. The Egyptian Book of the Dead provides the most detailed description of this realm. Upon arrival, souls find themselves in a vast queue, thousands upon thousands of beings, all facing the same direction, all maintaining complete silence. No one speaks because speech in this realm requires a different form of energy than souls possess immediately after death. The Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh describes this same phenomenon, the land where dust is their food and clay their meat, where the dead exist in a state of suspended animation, waiting for their turn before the cosmic judges. But this isn't eternal damnation, it's preparation. During this waiting period, souls undergo what the texts call purification, a process where the accumulated desires and attachments of physical life are gradually released. The zodiacal judgment, your cosmic court date. Here's where ancient wisdom reveals something that will fundamentally change how you view astrology. The zodiacal sign under which you die determines which cosmic judges will examine your life. This isn't superstition, it's cosmic law as understood by mystery schools for thousands of years. Each zodiacal energy governs specific aspects of human behavior and spiritual development. If you die under Scorpio, you'll be questioned primarily about issues of power, transformation, and hidden motivations. Death under Libra brings examination of your relationships, fairness, and ability to create harmony. The ancient Chaldean texts describe 12 different courts, each presided over by beings who embody the pure essence of zodiacal energies. These aren't human judges applying human standards. They are cosmic intelligences who understand the deepest spiritual implications of every thought, word, and action. We're diving deep into knowledge that most people never encounter in their entire lives. If this is opening your mind to new possibilities about the nature of existence itself, please hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. We're about to explore the most crucial moment in your soul's journey, the weighing of your heart. The weighing of the heart, cosmic justice revealed. The most famous scene from the Egyptian Book of the Dead shows the heart of the deceased being weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and justice. But this isn't symbolic. According to ancient texts, this is a literal process that every soul undergoes. Your heart, in esoteric terms, represents the sum total of your emotional and spiritual development. Every act of kindness, every moment of genuine love, every instance of selfless service makes your heart lighter. Conversely, every act of cruelty, Every moment of hatred, every selfish deed adds weight to your heart. The feather of Mayat represents perfect balance, the state of consciousness that exists in complete harmony with cosmic law. When your heart is weighed against this feather, the scales reveal the true spiritual weight of your earthly existence. But here's what the ancient texts reveal that most people don't understand. The scales are not the same for everyone. The Hermetic principle of "to whom much is given, much is required" applies here. Someone born into privilege and opportunity is held to a higher standard than someone who struggled with poverty and hardship. The cosmic judges, called the 42 assessors in Egyptian tradition, each represent a different aspect of spiritual law. They don't judge you by human standards, but by cosmic ones. Did you fulfill the spiritual purpose for which you incarnated? Did you learn the lessons your soul came here to master? Did you contribute to the spiritual evolution of humanity? Anubis, the guide to cosmic truth. The god Anubis, depicted with the head of a jackal, serves as the guide through this judgment process. But Anubis isn't just an Egyptian deity. This same figure appears across cultures under different names. The Greeks called him Hermes Psychopompus, the guide of souls. The Tibetans know him as Yama, the Lord of Death. The Hindus recognize him as Yamaraja, the cosmic judge. Anubis represents the principle of cosmic justice, not human justice, but the perfect balance that governs all spiritual evolution. His role is not to punish, but to reveal truth. When you stand before Anubis, all illusions fall away. You see yourself exactly as you are without the ego's protective filters. The ancient texts describe how Anubis shows each soul a cosmic screen, what the Akashic records reveal about their just completed lifetime. But this isn't a movie you watch passively. As you observe your life unfold, you simultaneously remember the pre-birth agreements you made, the lessons you committed to learning, the service you promised to render. This creates what the texts call automatic judgment. You don't need external judges because you judge yourself against your own pre-birth commitments. The cosmic scales simply reflect the truth that your own soul recognizes. The life review, confronting your cosmic contract. The life review process described in ancient texts bears striking similarity to modern near-death experience accounts. But the ancient sources provide much more detail about what actually occurs during this cosmic examination. When your life appears on the cosmic screen, you don't just see events, you experience them from every perspective. If you cause someone pain, you feel that pain exactly as they felt it. If you brought someone joy, you experience that joy from their perspective. This isn't punishment, it's education. Your soul learns the true impact of every choice you made. But the most profound moment comes when you compare your actual life with the spiritual contract you signed before birth. The ancient texts describe how souls often experience shock when they realize how far they deviated from their original plan. Some souls discover they accomplished far more than they committed to, often through suffering that accelerated their spiritual growth. Others realize they became distracted by material pursuits and failed to fulfill their primary spiritual objectives. The Gnostic text, the Sophia of Jesus Christ, describes how some souls, upon seeing their life review, immediately request to return to physical form to complete unfinished spiritual business. This is one source of what we call reincarnation, not automatic recycling, but conscious choice to continue spiritual development. If you're starting to see your current life in a completely new light, wondering what spiritual contracts you might have made before birth, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe. The knowledge we're sharing tonight could literally change how you live the rest of your life. The underworld realms, beyond heaven and hell. The ancient texts describe multiple realms where souls continue their development after the judgment process. These aren't the simplistic heaven or hell of popular religion. They're sophisticated dimensional realities designed for specific types of spiritual education. The Egyptian Duat, the Greek Hades, the Tibetan Bardo states, and the Hindu Lokas all describe similar multi-layered realities. Souls are assigned to realms that match their spiritual development and provide the exact experiences needed for continued growth. Some souls enter what the texts call rest realms, peaceful dimensions, where they recover from difficult earthly experiences and integrate the lessons they learned. Others enter learning realms where they study cosmic principles under the guidance of advanced spiritual teachers. The most developed souls may choose to become guides themselves, helping newly deceased souls navigate the transition process. The ancient text suggests that the astral nurses who appear at deathbeds are often souls who have chosen this service role. But perhaps most intriguingly, some souls choose immediate reincarnation, not because they're trapped in a cycle, but because they're eager to continue their spiritual development in physical form. The ancient mystery schools taught that rapid reincarnation is often a sign of an advanced soul, not a spiritually undeveloped one. The Silver Cord Connection explained. Throughout this entire process, from nightly soul travel to the final judgment, the silver cord plays a crucial role that most people never understand. This energetic connection isn't just a metaphor, it's the actual mechanism by which consciousness maintains connection between different dimensional levels. The theosophical tradition, drawing from ancient Tibetan and Hindu sources, describes the silver cord as composed of the same substance as consciousness itself. It's infinitely flexible, capable of stretching across dimensional boundaries while maintaining perfect communication between your soul and your physical form. But here's what's truly remarkable. The silver cord doesn't just connect your soul to your body. It connects you to the cosmic web of consciousness that links all beings. Advanced practitioners can actually perceive these connections, seeing the luminous threads that connect every conscious being in the universe. When physical death occurs and the silver cord is severed, you don't lose connection to this cosmic web. You gain fuller access to it. The limitations imposed by physical form are removed, allowing consciousness to perceive its true nature as part of the universal field of awareness. The return journey. Preparing for your next adventure. The ancient texts make clear that the afterlife isn't an ending. It's an intermission. After completing the judgment process and spending time in the appropriate dimensional realm, most souls begin preparing for their next incarnation. This preparation involves working with the same council of elders you consulted before your previous birth. Together you review the lessons learned, the karma resolved, and the spiritual progress achieved. Then you begin planning your next earthly adventure. The choice of when, where, and how to reincarnate isn't random. It's based on the specific experiences your soul needs for continued development. Some souls choose challenging circumstances to accelerate their growth. Others choose easier lives to integrate and stabilize previous learning. The Tibetan tradition teaches that advanced souls can choose their parents, their life circumstances, and even their physical appearance. But this choice comes with responsibility. The more conscious your reincarnation choice, the more accountable you are for fulfilling your spiritual commitments. How this knowledge changes everything. Understanding these ancient teachings about death and the afterlife isn't just academic curiosity. It has profound implications for how you live your current life. If you truly chose your death date before birth, then every day you're alive is a day you specifically requested to experience. If your soul travels nightly to higher realms, then developing dream recall becomes a spiritual practice that connects you to cosmic wisdom. If your heart will be weighed against the feather of truth, then every choice you make is either adding weight or creating lightness in your spiritual being. The ancient mystery schools taught that knowledge of the afterlife process was meant to transform how initiates live their earthly lives. When you understand that you'll review every action from every perspective, you naturally become more compassionate. When you know that you chose your challenges for spiritual growth, you approach difficulties with greater acceptance and wisdom. As we reach the end of tonight's journey into forbidden knowledge, we're left with questions that pierce the very heart of existence itself. If these ancient texts are accurate, if consciousness truly survives physical death, if we really do choose our life circumstances before birth, then what does this mean for how you're living right now? Are you fulfilling the spiritual contract you signed before incarnating? Are you learning the lessons your soul came here to master? When your heart is weighed against the feather of cosmic truth, will it be light enough to pass the test? And perhaps most importantly, if you knew with absolute certainty that you would review your entire life from every perspective, experiencing every joy you created and every pain you caused, How would you live differently starting tomorrow? The ancient wisdom keepers preserve this knowledge not to frighten us, but to awaken us to the magnificent responsibility and opportunity of conscious existence. Every breath you take, every choice you make, every moment of love or fear you experience is part of a cosmic education that extends far beyond the boundaries of physical life. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, remember that your soul may be preparing for its nightly journey to higher realms. Pay attention to your dreams. They may be reports from dimensions beyond ordinary perception. And consider the possibility that the life you're living right now is exactly the adventure your soul requested before birth. What will you do with this knowledge? How will it change the way you treat others, the choices you make, the love you give? The ancient text suggests that consciousness itself is watching, learning, and evolving through every human experience. Your life isn't just your own. It's part of the cosmic story of consciousness awakening to its own infinite nature. And death? Death is simply the next chapter in an adventure that may be far more magnificent than we've ever dared to imagine. Sweet dreams, fellow travelers. Your soul has work to do tonight.